Oh, now it's getting real. We're creating some stairs. So this is a nice little setup that allows you to create a procedural set of stairs that we can, edit the height of. We can, create a random attribute to this sort of thing, change the total height of it, and everything, as I've been promising, is procedural, guys. So let's get started. And yeah, I'm going to be having this for reference, okay? Don't judge. So we're putting down a grid, and we're setting our rows to 2, and then let's set up our stairs. So each one of these is going to be a step. And then what we need to do is we need to create a gradient going from 0 to whatever this number is, by using Vex. That's what I'm going to be using. Also, if you do Shift S, it will change the node type to rounded, which is a lot nicer looking when you're doing a large setup. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating my little PT function, which we're going to be creating a non-permanent attribute here. So we're doing float PT equals at point number, and then we need to change this to a float, remember? So times 1.0, and then divide that by the total number of points, with num-pt. Let me check I'm recording. Okay, and now if I do at cd equals pt, it's using the points instead of the primitive value. So if I set this to primitives, that's going to do the right thing. And technically you should be using primnum, but it doesn't matter, it does the exact same thing, so who cares. So there we've got our value, and what we need to do now is remap this to something. So we can do fit o1 pt, and then I'm gonna create some parameters we can use, min, and then the max value is going to be another parameter, which is max. Close that out. We need 2 brackets. Just spacing this out a little bit. And there we go. Now we can set this up. But I'm just using this to represent something. I don't actually want to set my CD to this. So I'm going to do at extrude. And then we're going to put down our first poly extrude. You better not have done this without me. So I'll put down my poly extrude, and what it does is it extrudes polygons. Pretty simple, huh? We can actually go into our local control and set our distance scale, which is our extrusion amount, to what's that value we created, extrude. And it's not working currently because we're not running over individual elements. And then did that make a difference actually? Let me check. Yeah, it did. Okay, double checking. So there we go. Now we're creating some stairs. We're getting into it. And I want my first step to be 0.1 or something. I want to create, a higher step. Oh, not that high. Something like that, maybe? It's looking quite good. And what I need now is I want these values, or these primitives, to all be just one object. I want basically this to be a spline. So the way I'm going to do that is pretty interesting. IMO, of course. We're going to put down a boolean. And what that's now done is anything that's intersecting is now 1. And I'm going to put down a divide now. And what divides do is, by default, it will triangulate, but you can also do remove shared edges, and that's going to mess everything up. So before I do all that, what I did was I flattened this. Like so. And then I created a group. This is a really important node, by the way. I'll have a little slide up, it's that important. But you can think of this as a polygon selection inside of Cinema 4D. I don't know of any other equivalents, but essentially it allows you to store a selection. And in here it's really powerful. You can select by normals, which is what I'm going to be doing. Set the spread angle to 0, and I want to be selecting things on Z. I need it to like visualize. There we go. Okay, so it's visualizing it now. I didn't do anything fancy there. I just switched between these to see what it is. So it's selecting one half of it because these are intersecting, and I don't want that. So now what I do is I put down a delete node, and then in my group I put down group 1. And now we've got what we want. And then I put this into a boolean, and there we have it. What I wanted. We've got a spline. These stairs are looking a little lopsided. I wanted to create some sort of square steps. So maybe up that a little bit, like that. Right, so now what we need to do is I'm going to be creating two things out of this. So as I said in a tutorial ages ago, I create a null before I do something important. So I'm going to call this out. Could do something more descriptive, and I'm going to be using a resample now. A resample is really important, and I didn't actually think I'd have to use it until the spline section of this tutorial series. But if I turn on my display points, what resample does is it takes a line, or it takes 2 points if we do resample along a polygon edge, so it will use the points that we've already got, and it will say what's the distance between these points here, and if there's no point between, it will measure the length basically, and the lower it goes, the more points it creates. Pretty self-explanatory. And then what I want to do is I want to convert this into a Bezier curve, I think. Or is it a NURB? I think it's a NURB curves, yeah. So now what we've done is we've created this nice little thing that's going to be rounded. And there's a major issue here with closed splines and NURBs. And I don't know how to fix it. Actually, I'm joking. I know how to fix it. So what you do is you put down two ends nodes. Now, literally, I only use ends. Ends nodes will close your spline, or your curve, to be exact. But what I want to do is I want to open it. So there we go. It's opened it. That was where it was closed, and that's why we were getting that weird thing. Always happens for some reason. And then we're going to close it. Rounded, and we've already fixed it, but it's still not correct. What we need to do is put down a basis and change this to uniform. And it looks really complicated when you've got all this stuff here, but really we're only changing a few things, and it's really simple, this setup. Oh, I went down too low. Will it come back? Will it crash? There we go, we're good. So there we go, we've done that. And then what I want to do is I want to extrude this and then bevel it. And this is actually quite heavy, so maybe what we want to do is actually bevel this instead. So we won't need all this stuff. What we could just do is we could keep the resample, but what we do is we put in a poly bevel. And then set this to points, and it pretty much does the same thing, but it's not quite as elegant if you look at the geometry. There we go. But if you get any issues with like clipping or whatever, if you're animating these stairs, then I would recommend using that initial setup that I showed you. But this is a lot cleaner. And I want to extrude out because our stairs that we're going to have on the other side are going to be going the other way. That's the philosophy behind that. Poly bevel. And what this is doing by default is it's beveling everything, and we just need to do this on an angle. So I'm going to do 40 degrees. We're getting these really ugly faces here, which I'll show you how to fix. Do not worry your little head about that. So I've set it to round, and we're rounding these edges here, and I mean, you won't see the other side, but to be consistent, what we can do is we can output the back, and it will bevel that too. But whatever you think is necessary, you do that. And then I need to remesh, sorry, these faces. And what remesh is it's basically the polygon equivalent of resampling for splines. Just to recap, resample will add more points like that. So if I just put a remesh here, we've got the target edge length, which is quite similar to resample, and it's just creating topology on here, which will fix our weird normal issue that we've got going on, where these ugly stretches are happening. So I'm going to create 2 group nodes. Let's start with one, and then uncheck base group. We don't need that. We need to keep normals, and we want this to be on, what's the axis? Z. So set this to 0, and we're selecting this face here. Now you could go and select this manually, but procedural, guys, procedural. Or girls. And then I'm doing an alt drag there to create another group node, and then I'm doing -1 to select the other side. And the reason I've named it the same is because up here, the initial merge, we can union, and it will combine with our prior selection on group 2. If you name them the same things, you can do that. It's very useful. You can replace, subtract, all that. And now I want to remesh our selection. I should probably call this something, so let's call it remesh. And as you can see, it's really ugly at the moment. We don't want to be remeshing everything. But that's good, and I'm going to put the iterations down to 1 or 0, sorry, and you can turn this up really high. Like, we do not need a super high density mesh here, at least I don't. I'm not displacing or anything onto this. Sorry to interrupt our regular programming. While rewatching this, I realized that I didn't talk about a way easier way of doing this because I recorded that a while ago. You can just put down a poly extrude, stick group 2 in there, and then extrude slightly, and it does pretty much the same thing. I'm just doing this so I fix normals. And if we go and click V or hold V and drag down to smooth shading, you can see we don't have any issues like we were having. So there we go, it's fixed. Beautiful. Let's call that edge bevel. And curve bevel, just to be organized. And now we're going to create our stairs. So go back up to our out node. Also, if you need like more of a visual representation, you can click C over here and choose a color for this. So I'm going to be extruding this the other way now, and I'm going to be putting down a reverse node, and this is reversing our normals. So the dark blue representation is for a negative normal, and then normal color is, you know, the right or the facing outwards normals, basically. So yeah, let's go and actually I don't need the front here. We're not even going to see that. So let's put down a pole bevel. Sorry, I just read it how I type it. It's poly bevel. I'm just a bit of an idiot. And there we're doing our bevels here. Beautiful. Let's see our lines again. So that's looking good. It's also doing it on the bottom, so if we just do ignore that, then we won't get that issue. Even on 2 degrees it's fine because it's a completely flat surface down there. And now what we can use is another extremely useful node, which is merge. So if we select both these, drag or click, and then just put our mouse here, type merge and it will merge these together. Very nice. But as you can see, this is not looking too good. There's a bit of an issue here. And the way we'll fix this is probably by... yeah, okay. So let's see if this works first, so I don't have to use Vex. But the way I did it in my other setup was Vex, so I was being a little smarty. Let's see. So yeah, we can do that. And we just uncheck output aside. And then if we output this now, we can change how extruded in this is. And it won't show the edges now. Very nice. And let's just double check that this is working procedurally. Just to flex. There we go. Very nice. And now we're quite close to the end. We just need to... I'm actually going to group this. Call this main stair. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a normal down. Just in case. Fix the normals. You can see this properly if you do smooth shaded. See what's happening with your normals. You could even do like 15 degrees. It'll probably look a bit cleaner. But 30 should be fine. Or 60. Doesn't really matter. Because we've got a lot of beveled edges. Actually, even 60 should be fine. Because it will smooth out those beveled edges. And now what we need is we need to mirror this. Actually, I didn't need this group. I don't know what I was talking about. What we need to do is we need to mirror this. So if I put down a mirror, this is like symmetry node, sorry. As you can see, it's not doing what we want. That is kind of cool though, but it's not what we want. So what we need to do is channel our inner prior video, which was the one about transforms, where I showed you how to do like $sign Z-min. I think it will Z min. I was wrong. But anyway, first off, what we need to do is we need to center this. Not on everything, just on Z, for this to work. So we center on Z, and I was right, that's good. Glad to hear it. We love to see it. So as you can see, that didn't fix anything, but we need to center it first. So what we're doing here is centering, and then we're doing Z min. Yeah. Okay. And now we can stick our mirror in. And the lovely thing about these little commands that we've used here is that we can go up to our extrude and expand the length of the stairs as we please. Like that. I'll do a little bonus thing as well. I'll show you how to get something onto one of these steps, just to hold there all the time. So let's use that one after the reverse to be consistent. And then we should do, in fact, actually no, I want to do it down here actually. Let's add our group back. So what this allows us to do is it will allow us to reference this later, all these polygons from our main stair. I probably should have put nulls here as well, just to be organized. Edges, main, and we'll color them as well to be consistent. So now that we've done that, I can reference this afterwards. So let's do a delete node or delete SOP, and I can do main stair, and it's deleting what we had selected, and we just do non-selected and we get what we want. And now I'm going to group on normals, set the angle to 0, set the direction to 1 on Y, and we selected the tops of our stairs. And then I'll just delete, like 2. This is polygon selection 2, by the way. if we're on primitives, which we are. Actually, we need to delete that group first, actually. So we delete our group, delete non-selected, so we get those stairs. And, oh yeah, since I haven't shown these lines, what we've got here, we actually have a line in the center from where we did our mirror. So the way that we'd fix that here is by doing a divide. So let's do it before we group anything. We do remove shared edges, or do we? Let's do it after our delete here. Remove shared edges. There we go. I got it right eventually. So now we've done that, let's recap. We're deleting the sides by using our group that we created up here. And then we're grouping the tops of the stairs, deleting everything but that selection, and then we're deleting the shared edges so we just get one nice polygon per stair. And then I'm deleting one of the stairs, and I delete non-selected, we get one stair here. We can change this value to whatever, but as long as there's like 3 polygons here, this will work. And then I want to do, let's just put a sphere down, you know, who doesn't like a sphere? So there's a couple ways we could do this. Either we could crush this down and make a single point and copy to that point, or, well, there's a lot of different ways we can do it, but the 2 ways that I'm thinking of right now is we can use that centroid command that I showed you in another tutorial. So I'm going to be creating a transform node, and just to be consistent, I'm going to do center this, even though this is already centered. You don't need to do this. This is just if someone happens to be using a different object that isn't centered. And then we need to drop this to the ground by using ymax. Drop to the ground now. And then we need to copy the transform over. So I'm going to go up here to our cogwheel and add spare input. Drag in stair out to our spare input, create a relative reference to that stair, and then I can go up here and do centroid -1 dx. Hopefully that works. And change these to x, y, and z. And then we can merge these back together. So that's just a little flex there. So you can go and copy this up here and scale it or move it or do whatever you want. Whatever we do to this object, as long as it's centered here, we will be fine. There we go. That's our beautiful object up there. Oh yeah, and also normals. That's doesn't bode well if we have a normal or set a normal up here and then we merge with something without the same normal. So what you can do is, let's just remove this. If you shake a node, it will remove itself from the wire, and we can drag it down here. And there we have it. Beautiful. That's ready for Instagram, I think. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If this helped, drop a big fat thumbs up, smash that thumbs up button, and if you have any questions, as always, comments, always good. So yeah, that's a stair setup. Any questions, all good. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.